Oh my gosh, guys. You know how there's that meme, it's like kind of nervous, like on a date, kind of nervous. Like this is how I feel right now. I have butterflies on my stomach. So if my words are a little jumbled in this episode, please excuse me because we have the Daniel Martin with us.
Oh my goodness.
I am floored that you are even sitting here with me.
Oh,
I am just
stop.
like fangirling. So let me just try and act normal. Daniel, how are you?
I'm
Welcome to the
good.
show.
Thank you so much for having me. When I saw your Instagram post, and then literally I think it was the next day or right around the same time that you were doing this, and then you reached out to ask me. I was like, oh my God, of course.
Oh my gosh,
I
I'm
mean,
so happy you said yes. I was
yeah.
I was doing a little happy dance because you
Aw.
never, you never know. You never know.
Right.
Everybody's busy and I never hold it against people. Everyone has, busy lives. So I appreciate it.
No, I'm so honored. Thank
Yeah,
you.
so we are in a like before we get into all the things, right? We are in, I feel like the pandemic never happened. How's work for you? It's crazy, right?
I mean, I've been very fortunate that it feels like pre-pandemic, even though we are in post,
Right.
and work's picked up like before it happened.
Right.
If anything, I need to kind of check myself and just have a, come to Jesus moment that
Right.
you need to slow this down. We are
Right.
still in this pandemic. People are still getting sick.
Right.
My whole family last week in Seattle got COVID.
I saw that. I'm
Which
so
is,
sorry.
I mean, they were all vaxxed, double
Right.
vaxxed, but it just makes us aware that we are conduits now to passing this virus along.
Right.
So if you're not vaccinated and
Right.
we happen to, who are vaxxed,
Right.
get someone
Right.
infected who
Right.
isn't vaxxed,
Right.
it could be worse for them.
Right.
So we're just in this predicament right now. And I think moving forward, we're all going to have to live with this.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I just, in my head, which sounds bad, I just act like everybody has it. So I'm extremely careful.
But I feel like that's
it's-
the best way
yeah,
to do it right now.
Yeah. It's like double mask on set.
Hmm.
Like sometimes I think some sets people are a little too comfortable.
Yeah.
I think they're ramping it back up now, but I'm like, it's fine. They're like, you can take your mask off. I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
I mean, especially I didn't realize this, but I have a lot of friends who have young children,
Mm-hmm.
and until recently did they say 5 to 11 now can be vaxxed, but there are a lot of parents who don't want to vax their children right now,
Right.
so we still have to be careful for them too.
Yeah, understandable. But I'm talking to you, but I can't stop looking at your skin. Your skin is glowing. Like, what is happening
I
here?
literally booked my ass here because I was like, I can't be late, so I'm probably flushed. But I have really bad rosacea, and I was just at my dermatologist right before I came, and she has me on 3 different creams, and then this bacterial antibiotic,
Right.
which is a very low dose to
Right.
help with the redness and calming down the rosacea.
Right.
But yeah, I have super sensitive skin, and
Right.
now since it's getting colder, it's actually been better.
Mm-hmm.
But this summer, my skin was a wreck because of the heat.
Wow.
Yeah. And
So you just stick to your dermatologist recommendations. There's
I'm-
nothing else in your routine that you really like add in.
I mean, besides those creams that I fluctuate every day, the only other moisturizer that I use is the Tatcha Indigo because it's specifically created for eczema.
Oh, you have eczema? I have eczema too.
Yeah, so you might like this moisturizer. And then
Right.
we just launched the Overnight Repair, which is a heavier, I don't want to say heavier dose, but you really get the benefits of
Right.
the indigo. So I'll send that to you because
my
it's
gosh,
been
thanks.
amazing, and it's just really helped calm my skin
Because
down.
in the wintertime, around my mouth is a wreck. Even
Yeah.
right now, it's a little.
Yeah, I think
on my
also
eyes,
too,
too.
everyone's heat's starting to turn on, and it's so dry in our
Right.
apartments that
Right.
our skins are just like, what's happening?
Right. It's like, can I get a giant humidifier?
Yeah, yeah. And then, I mean, I don't know if you heard, but like, there was something with the water supply.
No, I didn't hear that.
Sorry.
What?
There was something with the water coming from somewhere, so they had to switch.
Are we
The-
getting sewage water now?
Well, it's the mineral. Like if we're not used to certain minerals, you'll see it and feel it on your skin. Sorry, guys.
I hate
Danny
this world.
Downer.
I can't. But we have so much to talk about. I feel like your name. I mean, I knew who you were, and to me, obviously, makeup artists were. You're already a celebrity artist, but your name went viral when you did the Meghan Markle, and why are you laughing?
It's just because we're personal friends and I've known her
Right.
for 10 years. It's so funny to hear her in this new
Right,
context.
right,
Um, because she's still always Meg to me.
right,
And then when it's like the Duchess or the Meghan
right.
Markle, I'm kind of
You're
like,
like,
who?
oh girl, that Megan. Oh god, that is so funny. But I know that you have a mixed background. Your mom is Vietnamese and your dad is French and English.
Yes.
Right, perfect. And I'm saying all of that because I know that you've come from somewhere where you have been exposed to a lot of different things. You've been all over the world. You lived in Kansas, and I want to talk about your beginnings in beauty because I think that really shapes your career and your eye throughout all the years. So can you talk about that?
Yeah, so my grandmother, I didn't know my mother's side of her family because we grew up knowing that they were killed in the war, the Vietnam War. So I've always known I've always known my father's side of the family. And she was French, and my grandmother never left the house without a lipstick on. She was very much about taking care of herself. So that was kind of like the beginnings of beauty for me. But when my parents got divorced and we moved to Seoul, Korea, where my stepmother and stepsisters are from, that's when I really started to understand and really kind of get into beauty.
Right.
Because my three sisters all wore makeup differently. I was exposed to that whole 10-step K-beauty ritual back in
My
the 80s.
gosh.
And it was always fascinating to me that they took the time to do that to their face.
Right.
So that's kind of like where I fell in love with makeup and stuff. But I feel like I grew up in Central America from 5 to 11. I lived in Panama and Costa Rica.
That's so cool.
And it just being exposed to different cultures at such a young age, you definitely see things differently. And
Right.
there's a level of empathy that you get just understanding someone else's story.
Right.
And when you don't have that opportunity, I think it's such a, it's just kind of sad.
Right.
And I think that's why I've always wanted to be in New York.
Right.
Because it was so diverse. and
You still live
there's-
here, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's so funny. People think I'm from LA. Sorry.
Because all the celebrity makeup artists live there.
Yeah, or my vibe, like even I went.
You have very calm vibes, like maybe because you're calm and New York is very intense.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, no, you're
Yeah.
right. You're right.
You
But
give
for
me
s-
very zen, like
I think it's
pusa.
the bald head and being Asian. There's like a Buddha moment that already happened. So-
Don't say that. You can say that. Okay,
but it's
okay.
true. Like I've had so many people be like, "Oh God, your vibe is so Buddha," and I'm like,
No, somebody said that.
"Oh yeah."
Oh my god! What,
Oh girl, you don't even know half the shit people tell me.
what
Oh,
the hell? No, you could. Yeah, of
Okay,
course.
sorry.
What the hell? Your vibe is so Buddha. Oh gosh.
But I knew what they meant, so I knew it wasn't coming from a malicious place.
Okay, we'll let it slide. Okay, so you travel all over the world, you've got all these experiences. And let's, fast forward. You're now working at MAC, which is kind of like the rite of passage for a lot of artists,
Right,
right? You're
right.
working at MAC. How was that experience? Because it led you into, other brands.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I was introduced to Mac in 1992, and I was in Seattle at Nordstrom's. Wow. And I was working. I got hired for holiday, and then they kept me on, and I was going to college at the time, and I will never forget this because Nordstrom had picked up Mac as a new client, and this was before they got purchased by Lauder.
Wow.
And
How was that? Was it really different?
it was so different because at the time, the cosmetic floor was literally Clinique, Estee Lauder, I think Prescriptives, and they were mostly Estee brands.
Right.
So
Crazy.
when Mac came, it was like this whole spectacle because the packaging was black and it was all about artists and makeup artists and
Color and
color,
like,
and
yeah.
they had like drag queens on the floor. And at the time, I mean, this was early 90s, while I was in Seattle and grunge was happening, I wanted to move to New York and be a club kid.
Right.
So this was like, oh my God, this is my calling. This is what I
Right.
want to do. So it kind of, I think anyone who goes through Mac 101
Right.
really understands just appreciation of color, technique.
Right.
And there are still people there that were there when I was there.
Right.
So it's just real. I mean, it's a heritage brand.
Right. It
And
really is.
So I think going through that really opened me up to a lot of other opportunities.
So I obviously did my research, and moved on to Aveda, and you met the Pat McGrath. Did you faint? Like, how was that?
Was, um, I didn't faint. I mean, it was just a really cool opportunity to meet her because she
Right.
did a capsule collection for Aveda.
Right.
And she was still living in the UK at the time. And she created a product that to this day is like, I think one of the best highlighters ever, but it's been discontinued for over a decade, and it was called Universal Glow. And she literally was the first person that kind of created that whole
Right.
no makeup, dewy,
Right.
radiant skin. And yeah, it was an incredible opportunity to meet her and then to assist her when I eventually got to New York. But there's a whole, I don't know if you've ever.
Did you do the shows?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But this was also late 90s.
Right.
So what I went through back then versus what people are going through now with her
Right.
is completely different. Really? Yeah. Yeah. So different.
How?
I have to say that people in fashion weren't very nice back then.
Oh my gosh, it was like Mean Girl Central.
Oh, yeah. So, if anything, what I learned early on was how not to treat an assistant.
Right.
Just because there's a whole system. Whoever you're assisting, there's a system of how you come up in their camp and how you
Right.
assist and how you become a first or a second.
Right.
And at the time, I mean, it was already hard being in New York and freelancing and then trying to figure out, I mean, we all experience this now, like living paycheck to paycheck, waiting to get
Assisting.
paid, assisting at no money, and just
Tough.
for the opportunity, the experience.
Did you have any side jobs?
Oh my God, I was like trying to hustle. I did freelancing for like Trish McAvoy for a bit. I had an opportunity to day play on Sex and the City
Oh,
on
nice.
season 3, and I hated it.
Really? Was it Kabuki on that?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Really?
But I mean, again, it was
It's
one
different
of those,
vibes, like you-
it's
yeah.
so different.
And just I wanted to say really quick, sometimes it's not always the like key. Sometimes it's the other assistants that the meanest ones. You're like,
Yeah.
what is going on?
Right, and that's what people don't realize. It's like there's, and I think for me now, 20 plus years later, I really want to nurture anybody who comes through my way.
Right.
Or just give someone that opportunity because I remember how hard it was for
Yes.
me. And like you said, it's not necessarily the key, but the camp around them.
Yeah.
And there's this perception, and then there's this air that you have to look a certain way or be a certain way. You can't be nice or just, and it's
Right.
such
That's, I'm so happy
bullshit.
that's changing. I'm so
Yeah,
happy
yeah. I
that's
feel like
changing.
this whole new
Yeah,
generation.
because I look at things, I'm like, all right, no, this is what not to do, this is not to do. Make sure you pay your people on time. Make sure things happen, it's fashion, whatever. But like, we don't have to, perpetuate the bullshit.
Right, right,
Pretty much.
right. 100%.
You're like, I want to say more, but
I,
we'll leave it there. I love it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but I feel like anybody who really wants to get into makeup, they need to have that experience.
Right.
Because not only do you get to, learn new techniques and stuff backstage, but you're also learning etiquette and you're learning how to deal with other makeup artists
Right.
and dealing with models. And sometimes the models aren't in the best mood, and we're providing a service, so we have to understand how to calm them down
Right.
to achieve what it is we need done.
Right. So backstage, I am sure, you're assisting and you're developing your style. And one thing I think that, I mean, obviously all your makeup is amazing, but your skin especially, is incredible. Can you share some secrets with us? Because you've done, Jessica Alba, Jessica Biel, and tons others. How do you get that skin to look so incredible and last? Because a lot of these are red carpet moments, and I
Yeah.
think that's the scariest. One of the scariest moments for a makeup artist. Because if she goes out there or whoever goes out there and they look towed up, like you're gonna move to a new country, change your name, and that's it. That's it, because you will be dragged till infinity. And now that there's TikTok, it's so
Oh,
scary. No, but
yeah.
it's a scary moment. So I want, like, share some secrets with us, like things that you're like have to do to make sure.
You have it snatched and
Yes,
ready.
yeah.
You have to really understand the person's skin. And I think a lot of people don't take that into consideration because, we get into this formula and then this rhythm of how we do our work. And if you have someone who has challenging skin already, what you need to do is get that skin to a neutral place that whatever you put on top of it lasts.
Right.
So I have to pay attention. I mean, my skincare kit is just as big as my color and complexion kit.
Wow.
Just because I have to take into consideration the different skin types that I'm dealing with.
Right.
And make sure that I have an arsenal of skincare that can address those
Right.
needs. Because if I don't take care of their skin underneath their makeup, your skin will literally react to what you put on top of it. And that's what causes the separation and like the oiliness coming through and the shine and then I mean, it's such a horrible word, but that kind of coagulation that you see with foundation.
Right.
And that's why I don't use a lot of cream makeup.
Wow, really?
Yeah, just because a lot of those makeup is made with petrol. And if you're someone who's very sensitive to petrochemical or any kind of like paraffin-based kind of color base,
Right.
your skin heats up underneath it and it starts to break apart.
But what if they're really, really dry? Does it make a difference?
It does, because then you need to put a really great moisturizer on top of it.
Right.
So for me right now, what's in my kit for TV and have been for the last year and a half is the NARS Soft Matte Foundation
Oh gosh.
with the
put their
Tatcha Silk
foot in
Canvas. What?
They put their foot in that. That foundation is my favorite.
It's my favorite
Do
foundation
you like the
too.
concealer?
I don't
Was it
use the
thicker?
kit. It's thicker, and I feel like the concealer can get a bit too opaque.
Yes.
But if you have someone who has like acneic skin
Right.
and you need to really kind of like finesse that, that concealer's great for that.
Right.
But it is a bit too matte flat for me.
Right.
But
I just use it around my mouth. Yeah.
yeah.
And you use the Tatcha, you said? The powder.
Yeah,
The silk canvas powder.
The silk powder, and I also use the liquid silk canvas primer because it's a water-based primer.
Okay.
So, and the soft matte foundation is also a water-based foundation.
Right.
So I try to keep my skincare and my complexion in the same base.
Right.
Because once that moisture lifts off, once
Mm-hmm.
it eventually evaporates, the pigment's left and it just locks down seamlessly
Right.
with those products.
I'm going to have to try that.
Yeah,
I'll
try
text you
it.
and we
And the
will
trick
look
with our silk primer, and I think with any primer, is instead of using a sponge or a brush with it, you have to use your hands. You have to
Yes.
apply it like skincare.
Right. And really massage it in.
Yeah.
So this process is, I mean, it's like science. You really have to understand products. How is the process of planning for Megan's wedding? Was there like a Pinterest? Like, we want to know, was there a Pinterest?
There
Was
was totally Pinterest because I couldn't get to her to do a trial.
And that, I mean, because you've done her makeup before, that wasn't scary at all.
No.
Okay. So you're like, okay, just another day, girl, I'll come over.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Until the day of.
Did you realize it was going to
No.
be such a moment?
No.
You were just in your house watching Netflix and everybody's like, we need 10 interviews right now.
That day, I had to turn my phone off because I didn't know what was happening.
Oh my God.
I mean, to be completely honest, like the wedding was on a Saturday. I flew in Thursday morning, because I wanted an extra day in London because I love the UK so much. So we left Wednesday night, arrived on Thursday, walked around, did our thing. That Friday morning, we're at breakfast, and my husband was like, holy shit. And he opens up the paper, and they've literally tracked all of her friends who were in the UK at that time.
Wow.
And it was like paparazzi pictures of me and 3 other people. We're all staying at different hotels.
Right.
And then I was like, what the hell is going on?
Right.
And then that Friday we went to Windsor, and it was really interesting because I'd never been to Windsor, but it was all like signs and pictures and flags of them and what was happening. And that's when it was starting to register.
It felt like a movie.
Yeah, or just like, this is so weird. Like,
Right.
it was just so weird. And then the morning of, it was amazing. It was like us just kicking it with her mom. And I didn't know who was doing her hair or what she was wearing until that morning. I knew what I wanted to do, what we had discussed about her makeup, but literally I didn't know anything
Right.
until that day.
Wow.
So, and thank God it was Serge, because it was just like, I was coming in from a different part of the hotel and he was coming down the stairs and we were going to go see her. And when I saw him, I just was like,
Right. It's like
Because-
seeing an old friend.
yeah,
Yeah.
because at that point I was just like, oh my God, what is happening?
Right.
What is really happening?
Yeah.
Who's here? Who's doing her hair?
Right.
Because also too, like you have such a camaraderie with the people that you have on set.
When you see them, you're like, oh gosh, okay, today's going to be a good day.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And you just know that you have a rhythm, and you know that, the
Mm-hmm.
person that you're trying to make and feel as beautiful as they can be
Right.
and want to is just everything's going to be in sync. And it was.
Right. So were you at Dior at the time, or were you?
Yeah. So I was with Dior and Jessica Alba's brand, Honest Beauty, at the time.
Wow.
And I couldn't tell anybody that I was doing the wedding.
Oh,
It was like completely hush hush.
wow.
And then the palace once the wedding happened, the palace put out a press release saying who did hair and makeup and stuff.
Right.
And that's when everyone knew.
Wow. I'm so happy for you. That's such a
Oh,
cool experience.
It was. But like you said, it's just one of those things that it literally, I mean, it was crazy because I wasn't really active that much on Instagram. And this was 2018. So at the time I had 17,000 followers. And then by the next day, it jumped up to 70,000.
Wow.
And then I was like, I can't deal with this.
Oh my God, you ran away.
I totally ran away.
Bye, guys.
Fuck this. Bye.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. So I want to actually talk because, we briefly mentioned, the Dior and, you were working with Honest. And I want to talk about your career into the, being lead at Dior into Tatcha. Because what is not a good thing is that we don't see Asian Americans in the positions that you are in right now, and
Yeah.
especially at those leads. Of course, Peter Phillips and, all of them are geniuses, but we need some change. So it's great to see you there, but I want to talk about those roles that you've held and, your role now with Tatcha.
Yeah, I mean, I've been so blessed and grateful to have the relationship that I have with the house at Dior. Because even though I'm not working with them now for beauty, I'm still working with them for fashion.
Right.
But yeah, so Peter Phillips, he's at the top. He's creative director. And it was only me and Sabrina Bendrani who are like the brand ambassadors for North America underneath him. And he vetted us.
Right.
So that in itself was such an honor. And then with Honest, I think because of my background in development with Aveda and where Jessica's mission was and is, it was just kind of like this symbiotic relationship. So I was really lucky to work closely with her
Right.
and doing a lot for her brand. But yeah, I think in the beauty space, and also too, that's a heritage brand, Dior, there weren't a lot of opportunities for Asian Americans to kind of have that creative role. There was before Peter, there was Tien, but he's in Paris,
Right.
and he had a very behind the scenes
Right.
role with the brand prior to Peter being there, and I mean also too I never really thought about it,
Yeah.
and it wasn't until an editor when I was being interviewed was like, "You're the first Asian American to have a position like this," and it didn't. I don't know. I just didn't think about it, and it was like, "Oh wow, that is pretty cool." And then I was thinking about all my counterparts and everyone else that I kind of came up with,
And you're
and
like, not cool.
yeah, and just kind of like, I mean, I came up at a time when it was kind of token to have an all Asian team backstage, and a lot of those people came from Japan,
Right.
and a lot of them that I came up with aren't around anymore.
Right.
And it was really a reckoning to kind of sit and look at things differently the past year and a half when the world changed socially.
Right.
That was like, okay, if I'm in this position to help lift somebody else up, that needs to be my MO now.
Right.
Because it all needs to change, and it needs to change from the top all the way down.
Right. So your role now at Tatcha, you're director of education. What's the full title?
Global Director of Education and Artistry.
Yes, that's amazing. So what is your role entail?
So I have weekly meetings with them. Mondays are usually my office days with them. And I'm meeting with the marketing team, social digital team, education. When we're launching 2 products come this spring. So we're trying to ramp up a lot of the language around it. I work with PR closely with how to just kind of how to position these products, because they've never worked. I mean,
Is it skincare or makeup? Can you
it's-
say?
Yeah, it's skincare.
Oh, okay.
So I've kind of put a hold on doing color with the brand.
Okay.
Just because so many celebrities have launched makeup the past year that
It's like, please stop.
right. And if I can be completely
begging.
transparent here, the emotional value and connection to cosmetics has completely changed
Right.
because of it.
Right.
So why would I want to infiltrate a space where it won't be appreciated
Right.
because so
Right.
much of it is already
Right. And Vicky is amazing. She has this book that's like 300 years old.
Yeah, this book is incredible.
Like, what is in that book?
So it's it's kind of like I mean, geisha has been around for centuries, and this one particular house that she is a part, well, I don't want to say a part of, but that she, that helped, inspire the brand. Was kind of like their book of, I don't want to say secrets, but
Right.
how one becomes geisha is what you go through with this book. And a lot of it is rituals, and a lot of the intrigue around Asian beauty isn't necessarily the products themselves, but what and how they use them.
Right.
And it's this book of rituals and how things
Wow.
are made, and how things, how you do this.
I don't even want to, I just want to touch it.
Yeah, I don't even. I mean, it's interesting because I've only seen the book once, and it was like in a case.
Right.
I don't even know who has the book now.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
And I think that's the cool thing about being with this brand is I understand the commitment that she has made to really create something that's different and
Right.
has a point of view
Right.
in a space that everything all looks homogenous and the
Right.
same.
Exactly. Because she made a basic product like blotting papers go
Mm-hmm.
viral. And I think we probably wasn't even saying the word viral back in
Right.
2015.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because of the technology and, the care that she puts into the brand, which I think is dope.
Yeah. And I think that's what's going to really stand brands apart moving forward now is the innovation.
Right.
I mean, knowing how fast white labeling in cosmetics can happen, and knowing that all you need to do is just change the packaging, but you can have the same form in
Right.
different other ideations. has really made the consumer look at makeup differently.
Right.
And they, what looks, and can be $52, but something else can look half the price.
Right.
They're gonna go for the one that's half the price.
Right. Have you seen a change with the brand or how things are done since the acquisition?
With Unilever, if anything, it's given us more opportunity to just create more.
Right.
I have to say, like, I don't ever deal with Unilever.
Right.
I'm dealing
That's
with.
cool because I think sometimes when we see our favorite brands get acquired, we're like, no.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Of course. But I have to say, like, I mean, I came on after the acquisition, and I was actually surprised.
Right.
Because usually
Yeah.
the
Right.
people acquiring has their own MO of how they
Right.
want the brand to be. But they've left Vicky very autonomous of, you've created this, we want to see you
Right.
see it come through.
Yeah.
So yeah. I've been
So
very
you
lucky.
said, hi.
I've
You
been
never-
very lucky.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So you mentioned, when you got your boom on social media, you wanted to run away. And you really, you started your career where social media wasn't a thing. You've come into this world of social media and content, and now you're on Newness. You are dishing with Daniel on Newness. I know you, are you doing it? Because I'm like, first of all, I have no idea how you have time to be a director, be a makeup artist, and dishing with Daniel.
I haven't dished in a long time, I have to say. It's like,
But it's still that you still do it, and it's
Yeah,
cool that
yeah.
you do that. So I want you to talk a little bit about how you view content now from
Right.
your space, because there's a lot of, OG makeup artists that are like, I think sometimes because there was a shift and makeup artists was like, fuck that. I'm like, I'm not an influencer. Like, I'm a pro, which is fine. But there's different ways to approach it now.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I love what you're doing. So can you want to touch on social a bit, your opinion, and Newness?
Yeah, totally. So I feel like you have to look at social media as literally just that. It's how do you get your message out there authentically and without compromise?
Right.
And you don't need to play in every space. Like, I had meetings with TikTok and they were just like, you're an expert in the field. We'd love for you to do this. But I can't connect with it.
Right.
And there's people that love TikTok.
You're like,
Yeah. I mean, you have to really understand each platform to
Right.
really see if that's something that resonates with you or not. Like, TikTok is purely entertainment.
right.
Instagram, it's almost kind of like your portfolio
Right.
and your website.
Right.
It's a place where people can just go understand you, take a deep dive, go through your posts, see what you have to say. It's literally your own editorial. Instagram.
Yeah. I love how edutainment is a thing now, though. Like
Yeah.
the chiropractor, and it's like I follow a few of them. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh yes.
Yeah. And I've learned so much on Instagram, but TikTok, it moves so quickly. I don't feel like you don't really make, I mean, for me anyways, I haven't made connections on TikTok.
Right. The connect is definitely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then with Newness, because it's live streaming, it's this very raw, unedited moment where you have someone who is in Iowa and they've saved up their allowance to buy this one product that they want to share. And I think that's so much more compelling
Right.
than someone being, hey guys, here's a promo code for whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I want to know why this thing that she bought at Walmart is working for her.
Exactly. Because that's real.
That's real.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, if anything, this pandemic just made me do a deep dive.
Right.
And just like weed out all the bullshit.
Right.
that's
You know
out
what you
there.
like, you know what you don't like,
Yeah.
and that's it.
And I think for a makeup artist, besides the technicality of artistry, you have to understand the mediums that you want to play in so you can share your message.
Right. So I want to touch on this, and I love that, by the way. I did some some research.
You did some deep diving.
And
on
I
the
almost
people.
threw my laptop across the thing, but I can't do that because then I won't be able to do my work. But, you have been quite vocal on representation, on the heels of in the pandemic and everything with George Floyd. You have been really supportive, and you have been a voice for Asian Americans. I read that you were mistaken for a nail tech. You were mistaken for Daniel Martin's assistant, and obviously that's not cool. But I want you to touch on, how you've been using your voice to make a difference, because I think that it really it's there's generations of artists, and if the artist before doesn't do anything, then it makes harder for our generation to do something. So, and I really applaud you for that, because I've read so many articles. I've seen, we've had chats on Clubhouse, and this is a change that we need. It's not just one voice, it's everyone. So can you touch more on, just about what's been going on, and, how you've been contributing to change?
It's interesting what George Floyd did to all of us, in the sense that it was this reckoning within ourselves to really understand what's fair and not fair. And if you don't have the courage to really take that deep dive to almost kind of give yourself the allowance to say, hey, that's not cool, or that's not right, that in itself takes a lot of courage.
Right.
So I think when all of that started to happen, and then I started to see what was happening to the Asian community, I was like, fuck this. We need to stand up and say something. And I have to say, like, Clubhouse was the first platform that really gave voice to that.
Yes.
Because we weren't seeing it on Instagram. I wasn't on TikTok back then.
Right.
So
It's
Clubhouse.
very fleeting.
really-
You want to post a black square and a thing. It's
Right,
like,
right.
Where's the actual voice?
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So I think when Clubhouse came around, it was like this opportunity for all of us to really, say what we needed to say, but use that platform for the message to resonate.
Right.
And I really felt like that was the tremor that kind of caused
Right.
everything to happen. And I just think growing up, I've always was around diversity. And if, again, back to what I was saying before, like if you're not shown empathy at a young age, you don't know any different.
Right.
And it's not your fault. You grew up, one grows up where they grow up, and if they weren't around Asians or blacks or whoever, like, that's not your fault. But if you want to be an informed human being, then you need to go out and do the research. You need
Right.
to understand why.
Right.
And I think, if anything, it was just kind of like, giving people space to be like, hey, think about this and know what you can do with your words.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, no, of course. But what's funny is that it was just interesting to hear or have people come up to you, or I'm sure you experienced too during Black Lives Matter, like, "Oh, I hear you." And I'm just kind of like, yeah, I don't.
Or like, what do you think of this? I am not your diversity consultant. I
Right.
don't know. Go read a book.
Right. I remember my very first, we moved to Central America, I was 5 years old. And my very first friend who was there, she was Haitian. And she spoke French, and she spoke Spanish, and she spoke English. And I was 5. And I just remember, oh my God, she's the coolest person. Like, I
Right.
was in love with her.
Right.
Because here is this beautiful little girl who, very, very dark skin, but was trilingual.
Right.
And I grew up my mother not speaking Vietnamese to us.
Right.
She didn't teach us Vietnamese.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's just interesting when people don't understand or can put themselves in other people's shoes.
Right.
That to me is so foreign.
Well, you see, it takes people like you and people, people that use their voice to make a change. Because let's be real, we're all gonna die one day. Like, but maybe
Yeah.
you've changed somebody's life. You've, helped inspire somebody else to not,
I mean, and that's the thing too, like as a makeup artist, though we love the creativity and we love the artistry, this is a business of taking care of other people. And if you don't understand that, and you don't realize that, it's not only your artistry and talent, but it's your energy
Yep,
that literally affects your work,
exactly.
then maybe you're in the wrong profession.
Think it over.
Think it over, people.
So I have some questions from our the life of a makeup artist. We have close friends. We have some close friends,
Yes.
and they have some questions for you.
Okay.
So it's gonna be like a
Oh,
quick little
fun.
speed round. Are you ready?
Yes.
So, what is your current favorite lip product?
Oh my God. My current favorite lip product. Well, I have to say, we have an overnight lip mask at Tatcha that I created with a pigment from Kyoto Red. I'm gonna send it to you. It's limited
it
edition
new?
now. It's
Oh.
new. It's brand new.
Did it come out yet?
It came out last week. So I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it to you.
Oh my god, thanks.
That's my favorite new product because it doesn't make your skin. I'm sorry. Doesn't make your lip red per se, but it deepens
A
it.
nice little tint.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. Have you ever questioned your talent?
Oh, all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Is it difficult to stand your ground on topics when working with big box brands? So maybe you have an idea or something. Is it difficult to hold your ground or your opinion?
Oh, that's a really good question. I guess it depends on the context of
Right.
the situation.
Right.
If I don't vibe or like something, I usually don't comment on it,
Okay.
just to
Right.
out of courtesy.
Right.
But if there is something that I am just like, that's fucked up,
Right.
I'll tell you
Okay.
because I need to explain to you why I
Why?
feel that way.
Right. How do you make firm with your preferred style of artistry versus what the customers prefer?
Oh gosh, that's such a great question. I mean,
It's
again,
like, girl, that's blush. You're going to blend it out.
child.
It's like, contour me more, please.
Oh my God, that totally reminds me of a situation with Megan years ago. She loves a cheek, and there's oh my God, I wonder if she would kill me if she heard me saying this, but I can't remember the I don't want to say the event.
Okay.
But she has whenever after I do her makeup, she has a little to-go bag that I've created with her that she uses to touch up before an event. And I noticed in the photos that her cheek was a lot brighter than what I did. And I was like,
You texting her
"Girl."
like, what did you do?
Well, I saw her the following day, and I was like, "Did you do a little bit more blush?" And she was like, "Oh my God, busted."
So you let them do their thing.
I have to, yeah, because it's that it's their thing. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, after they leave you, it's off to the races.
Right.
And I can't. I mean, I once gave Olivia Palermo, bless her heart. It was an early morning, and I gave her a cat eye, but one eye was going north, the other one was going like southeast.
Oh my God.
And she realized it in the car. So when she was there to do her pictures, she turned to one, tilted her head that you only saw
Right.
the
One-
one going
one eye,
up. Yeah.
yeah.
So
That's a real one.
that's a real one, guys. I'm left-handed. Sometimes my symmetry is off on my
Right.
cat eye, but
I like that you said that because we like kill ourselves trying to get to perfection.
yeah.
It's like no
At the
one
end of the
is,
day, it's
Yeah.
makeup. It can be
and it's
fixed.
also edited.
Right.
Okay, so what inspires you when creating the look and feel of Tatcha marketing wise?
Oh gosh. Well, we have like our standard.
Right.
What's interesting is that we're moving the brand in a newer direction, and you'll start seeing a lot more people in our campaigns, but you're gonna find more authentic stories because I feel like everyone who experiences Tatcha has a story behind how they found us, who introduced them, why it changed their skin. So those are the stories that we're looking to share because I think it's so important right now.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of where we're heading.
Okay, last question. How did you approach getting hired for the position? Did you apply or were you approached?
I was approached. I I was in London with Vicky, and we were. It was like we were having donuts. Actually, there's this donut shop in London that I love. That's kind of like Donut Plant here in New
Right,
York. So we got donuts. I was like, oh my god, we have to go and get donuts at this place. And I have a sweet tooth, so we're eating donuts, and she's like, I have this opportunity now to build out my creative team and I want you to be a part of it. And I was like, well, what do you mean? Because at the time I was with Dior and Honest Beauty. And she was like, I want you to be the head of, you know, and I was like, holy shit. Because she's known for so long that that was kind of like my dream position.
Right.
So to have your friend kind of create that for you,
Right.
it's, I
That's
mean,
incredible.
it's such a gift.
Yeah. Actually, I have one more. Someone asked, how should makeup artists market themselves, especially, you know, if you are Black, AAPI, like, because, you know, we're in a very white-dominated industry, you know, people at the top, directors, whoever. How would you suggest people kind of market themselves in this, you know, day and age?
Gosh, that's such a great question because so many people are looking at the different social platforms differently for talent.
Right.
At the end of the day, you need to be authentic as possible to yourself and your vision. And something that a friend of mine told me years ago that always resonated with me through my career was understand your point of view. And at the time, I didn't really understand that. And she was going through my portfolio and she's looking at all my work and she's like, yeah, I know you can do makeup, but I don't see your point of view. Wow. And it really made me stop and like, that was kind of
Wow.
like my aha moment because
She's like, it's cute, but
yeah,
you dig deeper.
yeah, because at the end of the day, people are coming to you for something that you do
Right.
that is different. And
Right.
I think for me, it's always been skin,
Right.
how I do skin. And that was something that I learned from Pat a long time ago.
Right. She massages the skin.
I mean, yeah, like get your hands on that base
Right.
and just really, I mean, I hate to use it, just there's a way of milking the face to a point where it just looks like you had an incredible facial.
Right. Like you right now.
Thanks.
I love it. So let me ask you personally, what are
Yeah.
you looking forward to in 2022?
Oh,
It's a
God.
new year. I mean, I feel like, you know, it's a lot happening, but, you know, I know you said you just had to, we spoke about you having a come to Jesus moment. Like, what are you looking forward to in 2022?
Oh gosh, it's so interesting. I feel like I think people are getting to a point now where they're just like, we're all over this pandemic, but it's going to be better to just, I don't know. I feel like people are wanting to help each other out more.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited. Like, I'm very interested in Gen Z. Understanding just, I sit in these marketing meetings and just there's such an emphasis on how Gen Z shops, how they get information, how they present themselves to the world. And it's almost kind of like,
Fuck millennials.
yeah, well, it's so different than millennials.
Right. Yeah.
And I turned 48 this year. So,
What?
yeah.
Not with this skin. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be so dramatic. I did not know that.
yeah.
Wow. You look,
She's
I mean, not
old,
that,
girl.
I mean, I don't think that's old, but you look great.
No, but
When's your birthday?
September.
Oh my gosh,
7th,
happy
yeah.
birthday.
Thank you. But yeah, so I feel like, and Gen Z apparently is very much like Gen X, which is my generation. So I'm very interested to kind of see how things, because it was, you know, what Gen Z experienced with George Floyd, I experienced with Rodney King.
Right.
So it's very interesting to kind of see socially how things evolved.
Right.
So I'm waiting to see, especially now after this election that we just had,
Yeah.
how things shape up.
It's going to be Interesting.
Yeah, because I feel like we're going through a reckoning socially,
Yep.
and all these people that was all about change, change, change. We need to follow through with this,
Right.
because if we don't, then we're gonna go back to
Just a
fucking
cycle.
yeah.
Yep.
We can't have that again.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being on.
Thank
this
you so
podcast.
much for
You're
having me.
amazing.
You're amazing.
Oh
Your
my
teeth
gosh.
are perfect.
That's well, I mean, Cress is my partner.
Oh, it's beautiful. There you go.
But
Hook me
thank you
up.
so much. So you have shared so generously. I know you don't want any more followers, but you're gonna get some. Please share how we can find you on Newness, on Instagram, wherever
Just
you
on
are.
Instagram.
Okay,
Daniel Martin. That's it.
amazing. Thank you so much for
Thank
being
you
here.
so much.
Oh my gosh.
Aw. You're the best.
You're the best.
Seriously, like I fell in love with you when when I heard you talking on Clubhouse, and I was like, I need to know this girl.
You're making
She's
me blush.
fierce.
Thanks. Sometimes you don't look at yourself. You're like, oh my God, will Danielle talk to me?
Oh, stop.
No, I'm serious. Like,
But it's so funny
I'm
how
like-
people have this idea about,
right. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's all fucking smoke and mirrors.
It really
You know
is.
what I
Smoke
mean?
and mirrors, guys. Believe in yourself because it's all
Yeah.
smoke and mirrors.
And just know that you can do anything.
Right.
If anything, technology has made the world smaller.
Right. And that's even tying back to that marketing question. Like, you can do anything.
Yeah.
You don't have to fit into a fashion box or
No.
anything anymore.
No.
So that's what I did. I was like, I'm going to be a makeup artist, fuck content.
I mean-
and where I am now doing content. You know what I mean?
But
Because
see,
I
But
paused
it was that opportunity that brought you here.
Right. Yep.
And you're flourishing here.
Mm.
I mean, it's amazing. Like, I was in a meeting yesterday, and our head of social was like, Jaleesa? You're going to meet with Jaleesa? And I was like, yeah. She's like, oh. She's like, we'll send her whatever she wants.
Oh my God, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
Oh my
So it's good
gosh.
that you're on everyone's radar, girl.
Thank you. We'll catch you guys in the next
Oh, sorry. We're so
We'll catch you guys in the next episode. We're gonna be here all day talking, but we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you guys so much. Don't forget to subscribe and give your little girl a rating because there's so much more to come on the podcast. Bye guys.